Carl Jung explains 7 ways you silently trigger people. You are sitting in a room with your closest friends, but you're actually attending your own funeral. You aren't dead, but you have become a ghost. Watch until the end to discover why this agonizing, invisible death is the brutal, necessary birth of your unapologetic true self. The invisible death of who you used to be. Have you ever sat in a room filled with people who supposedly know you best and suddenly realized you are attending a funeral? Not a physical death, but something far more insidious. The air is thick with laughter, the clinking of wine glasses, the familiar scent of comforting food and suffocating perfumes. Yet right there, surrounded by the warm bodies of childhood friends or longtime colleagues, a terrifying, bone-chilling silence erupts inside your chest. You look into their eyes and realize the horrifying truth. You are a ghost hovering over your own life. The person they are talking to, the person they expect you to be, no longer exists. If this unsettling feeling resonates with the unspoken ache in your soul, please subscribe to the channel right now. Your support becomes the very heartbeat that drives us to decode the deepest, darkest corners of the human psyche in our upcoming videos. The Inner Multiverse warmly welcomes you to a journey where we do not just skim the surface, but plunge into the abyss of your own awakening. Let us return to that room. It was supposed to be a safe haven, a sanctuary of belonging. But listen closely to the symphony of their conversations. It is an endless, agonizing loop of complaints about miserable jobs, petty judgments directed at those who are absent, and shallow jokes desperately thrown into the air to mask an unbearable emptiness. You sit there, stretching your lips into a forced, agonizing smile, desperately trying to jam the evolving pieces of your soul into a puzzle that stopped fitting years ago. And then you make the mistake of speaking your truth. You gently offer a glimpse of your new world, a profound book that shattered your paradigms, a newfound discipline, or a silent spiritual goal you are fiercely chasing. The response? A heavy, suffocating awkwardness, a half-hearted smirk, a swiftly thrown distraction that drags the spotlight violently back to the comfortable, stagnant mud of their usual gossip. In that exact fraction of a second, an invisible guillotine drops, severing the space between you and them. You are biologically present, but your spirit has already been exiled to an entirely different dimension. Then comes the insidious, lingering agony. It is the absolute bewilderment of discovering that your native tongue is suddenly foreign to those who once breathed the same air as you. They do not just pull away, they begin to brand you. They staple agonizing labels onto your forehead, words that have never existed in the history of your bond. Selfish, aloof, arrogant, changed. Each syllable is a poisoned needle driven deep into your conscience. You lay awake in the dead of night, staring at the suffocating darkness, paralyzed by a sickening guilt. You ask yourself the ultimate, tormenting question. Is it a crime to want a life of profound meaning? Is craving discipline and deep stillness a sin against the people I love? You are torn apart, bleeding out on the crossroads between amputating your own growth to squeeze back into their comfortable box, or walking alone into a terrifying, freezing wasteland. But let me pull you out of the dark and tell you a fierce, undeniable truth. The fractured, alien, and agonizingly lonely state you are drowning in right now is not a malfunction. It is not a symptom of your betrayal or a cold heart. It is the violent, majestic, and brutally authentic first gasp of a profound metamorphosis. You are not bleeding because you are losing yourself. You are in agonizing pain because you are giving birth to yourself. Your old psychological skin is tearing apart, and the abrasive friction against your old environment is merely the toll exacted by spiritual maturity. This terrifying greeting from solitude is not a death sentence. It is a sacred invitation to a realm of absolute truth, a place where you will never again have to break your own spine just to fit into the microscopic cages of societal expectation. The psychological warfare of letting go. As you step across that threshold into the realm of absolute truth, you immediately collide with the most brutal adversary of all, your own internal guilt. This is not the fleeting remorse of a simple mistake. It is a profound, marrow-deep sorrow that convinces you that you are abandoning the very people who anchored your past. Society has hardwired us to believe that loyalty means physical and psychological proximity, that to love someone is to remain forever stagnant by their side. When you begin to outgrow your environment, your primitive brain perceives this evolution as a fatal threat. For millennia, isolation from the tribe meant certain death, and your nervous system is still playing by those ancient, unforgiving rules. You will find yourself agonizing over memories, replaying childhood escapades or late-night conversations, wondering how the bridge between your souls collapsed so quietly. The heaviest burden of this awakening is realizing that you do not hate these people. In fact, you might love them more fiercely than ever, but you can no longer tolerate the version of yourself you have to become to remain in their presence. You are forced into a psychological warfare where mourning the living becomes your daily routine. It is a peculiar, haunting grief. There are no funerals to attend, no condolences offered, just the silent evaporation of a shared reality. You watch them celebrate milestones, gather for holidays, and laugh at the same jokes, and a part of you bleeds because you know you can never go back. You attempt to compromise, dipping your toes back into their waters, only to find the temperature freezing and the current pulling you toward a dangerous apathy. You realize that to stay is to commit emotional suicide. Every time you decline an invitation, a phantom weight settles on your chest. You type out excuses, erasing and rewriting them, desperate to soften a blow that is entirely invisible to them but deafening to you. The mind plays vicious tricks, whispering that you are becoming an elitist, that your pursuit of higher meaning is just a masked arrogance. But you must silence that inner critic. You must look at the empty chair beside you and understand that the space is not a void, it is a clearing. It takes a terrifying amount of courage to accept that some people are only meant to be scaffolding in the architecture of your life. They helped build you, they supported you when you were nothing but a blueprint, but they cannot inhabit the finished skyscraper. Releasing them is not an act of malice. It is the agonizing but necessary process of severing the umbilical cord to a past that can no longer nourish your expanding spirit, the wilderness of your own shadow. Once the clearing is made and the noise of their expectations finally fades, you are met with an echoing silence that forces you to confront the stranger staring back from the mirror. This is the wilderness of your own shadow, a desolate, intimidating landscape where the distractions of your old life can no longer shield you from yourself. When you strip away the social obligations, the meaningless chatter, and the exhausting performance of playing a character, what is left? At first, the isolation feels like a physical crushing weight. You wander through your days with a hollow ache, wondering if the cost of authenticity was too steep. But this solitude is a crucible, burning away the impurities of your conditioned identity. Without the constant feedback loop of your old circle validating your insecurities, you are left alone with the terrifying roaring of your own mind. All the repressed traumas, the unhealed wounds, and the terrifying questions you spent years drowning in alcohol, busy work, or shallow relationships come violently rushing to the surface. You cannot outrun them anymore. In the dead of night, your bedroom becomes a courtroom, and you are both the judge and the accused. You must answer for the times you betrayed your own intuition just to keep the peace. You must look at the ugly, fragmented pieces of your ego that you desperately tried to project onto others. This phase of the journey is not romantic. It is gritty, exhausting, and fiercely uncompromising. You will cry tears that feel like they have been trapped in your chest for decades. Yet, within this grueling excavation lies the magic of your true genesis. As you sit in the ashes of your old identity, you slowly realize that the silence is no longer mocking you, it is speaking to you. For the first time in your entire existence, you can hear the faint, steady drumming of your own authentic heartbeat. You discover that you are not empty at all. You are a vast, undiscovered universe, teeming with dormant passions, fierce opinions, and a radical capacity for love that does not require submission. The wilderness, with all its terrifying shadows, transforms into a sacred training ground where your spine hardens into steel and your soul learns how to breathe without asking for permission. You begin to treasure this isolation, guarding it fiercely, like a dragon hoarding gold. The fear of being alone dissolves into an intoxicating sense of sovereignty. You are finally becoming the master of your own inner sanctum, untethered and unbroken. The magnetic pull of your true tribe. As you claim this unbreakable sovereignty over your inner sanctum, a subtle but profound shift alters the very frequency at which you exist in the world. You are no longer broadcasting the desperate, static-filled signal of someone begging to be understood. You are emitting the clear, piercing resonance of someone who understands themselves. This is the exact moment the universe begins to respond, setting into motion the magnetic pull of your true tribe. It does not happen overnight, and it rarely happens in the places you expect. It starts with fleeting encounters, a conversation with a stranger in a bookstore that bypasses the weather and dives straight into the philosophy of existence. It is a knowing glance exchanged with a colleague who also refuses to participate in the toxic office gossip. These are the scattered, glowing embers of your new reality. When you finally begin to attract the people who are meant to walk this new path with you, the contrast to your past is staggering. There is no performance required here. You do not have to amputate parts of your personality or mute your ambitions to make them comfortable. Instead, your new companions act as mirrors, reflecting not your insecurities, but your boundless potential. When you speak your truth, you are not met with the suffocating awkwardness of your old life. You are met with fierce curiosity and deep, unwavering validation. These connections are not forged by the mere accident of growing up in the same neighborhood or sitting in adjacent cubicles. They are forged in the fires of shared values, mutual healing, and a relentless dedication to growth. It is a profound revelation to find friends who celebrate your victories without a shadow of envy, who hold space for your darkest hours without rushing to fix you with platitudes. They challenge you to rise even higher, holding you accountable to the standard of your own soul. The energy you once wasted trying to force a square peg into a round hole is now harnessed to build an empire of shared purpose and profound emotional intimacy. You will sit in rooms with these people, and the silence between you will not be a weapon. It will be a comfortable, heavy blanket of peace. You will realize that true belonging does not require conformity. It demands absolute, unapologetic authenticity. You are finally seen, not for the ghost of who you used to be, but for the vibrant, evolving force of nature you have become. The realization washes over you like a warm tide. The agonizing loneliness of the wilderness was not a punishment, but a necessary purification, ensuring you were entirely ready to receive the love and connection you actually deserve. The majesty of the unapologetic self, anchored by this profound emotional intimacy and surrounded by mirrors of your own evolution, you finally step into the ultimate phase of your awakening. This is the majesty of the unapologetic self. You look back at the treacherous road you have traveled, the agonizing disconnect from your old world, the haunting guilt that kept you awake at night, and the terrifying, freezing wasteland of your own shadow, and you realize that every single drop of pain was a vital ingredient in the alchemy of your liberation. The ghost that hovered over your life has been firmly laid to rest. You have fully re-entered your body, but this time you are sitting on the throne. The world no longer feels like a theater where you have forgotten your lines. It feels like an open canvas demanding the boldest colors of your spirit. You no longer walk into a room hoping people will like you. You walk in wondering if you will like them. This shift in perspective is not born of arrogance, but of a fierce, protective love for the peace you fought so brutally to attain. You have learned the hard way that your energy is your most precious currency, and you refuse to spend it on anything that does not elevate your existence. When you encounter remnants of your past, you no longer feel the stinging bite of rejection or the heavy anchor of obligation. You can look at the people who misunderstood you with a quiet, detached compassion. You understand now that they were never rejecting you. They were simply rejecting a reflection of the courage they had not yet found within themselves. Their judgment is no longer your burden to carry. As you stand here, rooted deeply in your own truth, I want you to take a deep, grounding breath. If you are still in the messy, agonizing middle of this transition, bleeding out on the crossroads, hear my voice clearly. Do not turn back. Do not shrink yourself to fit into a reality you have already outgrown. The invisible death you are experiencing is merely the preface to the most beautiful life you could ever imagine. The universe is waiting for the authentic you to finally arrive. Every tear you shed in the dark was watering the seeds of a profound destiny that only you can fulfill. Embrace the radical disruption of your comfort zone, for it is the only birthplace of true greatness. Stand tall, keep your gaze fixed on the horizon, and know that you are not alone in this unseen revolution. Let the old bridges burn, let the ashes fertilize the soil of your new world, and step boldly into the magnificent light of who you were always destined to be. And finally, conclusion. The journey of self-actualization is not a gentle stroll, but a fierce and often painful revolution of the soul. It begins with the grueling psychological warfare of letting go, where you must sever ties with the familiar and mourn a past that no longer serves your growth. This necessary detachment plunges you into the wilderness of your own shadow, a stark and desolate space where you are forced to confront your deepest fears, unhealed wounds, and stripped back ego. Yet, it is within this very isolation that your authentic voice is reborn. By enduring this crucible, you alter your internal frequency, inevitably triggering the magnetic pull of your true tribe. These are the rare individuals who reflect your potential rather than your insecurities, offering profound emotional intimacy and unwavering support without the demand for conformity. Ultimately, this entire painful alchemy culminates in the majesty of the unapologetic self. You emerge not with arrogance, but with a fierce protective sovereignty over your energy and peace. The painful shedding of your former life was never a punishment, it was the ultimate preparation. You realize that outgrowing your old world was the only way to build an empire of shared purpose and absolute authenticity. Let the ashes of what you once were fertilize the soil of your future, knowing that the agonizing cost of liberation is entirely dwarfed by the magnificent freedom of living wholly and unapologetically as yourself. Profound lesson learned. True belonging and self-actualization demand the absolute courage to endure the pain of outgrowing your past. The loneliness experienced during personal growth is not a sign of failure, but a necessary purification process. You cannot discover the people who align with your highest self or unlock your boundless potential while clinging to environments and relationships that force you to remain small. Authenticity requires a willingness to let your old identity die so your true spirit can be born. How to apply this to your daily life? Audit your energy. Pay close attention to how you feel after interacting with your current circles. If a relationship consistently leaves you drained, anxious, or feeling like you must hide parts of yourself, it is time to establish firm boundaries or step away. Embrace solitude as a tool. Instead of running from loneliness through endless scrolling, busy work, or shallow socializing, carve out dedicated time to sit with yourself. Use journaling, meditation, or quiet walks to confront your inner thoughts and discover what you genuinely desire out of life. Stop over-explaining. Practice making decisions for your own growth without endlessly justifying or apologizing to those committed to misunderstanding you. Let your actions and your newfound peace speak for themselves. Seek aligned communities. Intentionally put yourself in new spaces, whether physical or digital, that revolve around your true interests, values, and passions. Focus on building connections based on shared growth rather than just a shared history. Join the conversation. What is one thing, a habit, a belief, or an environment that you have recently let go of to make room for your personal growth? Please kindly share your thoughts and experiences in the comments section below. Your unique perspective might be the exact inspiration someone else needs to read today. If you found value in this message, please subscribe to the channel to support our work and give us the motivation to keep creating more inspiring content for you.